on the air. This
Right.
is how arrogant the government is in California. This
Right.
is how bad it is when one party controls any government of either party.
Right.
I was embarrassing them on the air
Right.
for weeks, and still nothing happened
Right.
until the governor himself intervened and said, this is getting embarrassing.
Right.
And, of course, it was a bunch of bullshit. None
Right.
of it ever needed to happen.
Right.
It wasn't even the one that bothered me the most. The one that bothered me the most was my garage door. When I moved into this house, it had a 3-garage door.
Bill Maher and Adam Carolla went all in with a very harsh takedown of California's long-running one-party political system. It was seriously tough and very direct.
Okay, it doesn't fit 3 cars. I don't know what these cars are.
Right.
It fits 3 motorcycles.
Right.
So, okay, like, I don't live in a mansion. I don't want to. I live alone, okay? I've got a wonderful house, happy to have it. No one would mistake it for, lifestyles of the rich and famous. Okay, so I wanted to change my 3-car garage, wink, wink, to what it should be, a 2-car garage. This took 3 inspections. Inspections?
Right.
I'm just changing my garage. Why do you have to be involved in my life when I'm changing my garage?
Because
if it falls down on my head, that's my fault for doing it with a bad contract.
They broke things down step by step about why California keeps going downhill. And then they explained what they believe it would take to fix the problems they blame on Democratic leaders. This video is made to stir up strong reactions. If you enjoy fiery political talk, make sure to hit subscribe and jump in with us right now. And stay tuned so you don't miss a single moment.
Plan check and all of the above. I had to deal with all of it. And I would always say, look, if you're living in Santa Monica and you have rent control apartment, good. Vote the way you vote. I get it. But buy a piece of land. Get a home. Go to the city. Try to pull a permit. And then tell me how you feel about this government. Because I think it's too fucking big. And you go, what? We get rent control. Yeah, you get rent control. Go buy a piece of property. Try to do a remod. Go talk to the city. And then tell me how you feel.
Because you're doing this to your home.
Right. And I've done
You were wiped out.
No, I wasn't wiped out. My home is intact in Malibu. Everything around it is burnt.
It all began with Bill Maher speaking out. Then Mel Gibson added his thoughts. Now Adam Carolla is taking aim at the exact same issue, the confusing maze of rules and paperwork you have to go through just to build a house in California. Carolla says that every time he points out how crazy the permit process has become, people give the same automatic answer. They say, but we have rent control, as if that somehow solves everything. He says that response completely ignores the real problem. Not everyone wants to rent. For many people, renting isn't even a realistic long-term choice. Rent control doesn't create more housing. It doesn't speed up building. It doesn't help families who want to build something of their own actually buy a home and settle down. What it really does is nothing to clear up the pile of rules, approvals, and long delays that stop new projects before they even get started. The end result is fewer homes and higher prices. Critics like Carolla say the state isn't lacking kindness or big dreams. It's buried under paperwork. And until that tight grip loosens, the housing crisis isn't going to calm down anytime soon.
Business was doing it.
Why did your home turn?
God loves me.
No, really? Everything around you burned?
I would say 80% of what was around me burned.
Did you take precautions that others didn't? Did you
wear a condom?
Wetting the roof?
No, I didn't. I
changed my roof since last year. I have a whole different roof.
I know.
And I have a thing that goes in the pool where you
pump it.
You shoot the pool up on the roof.
No, I did nothing in just complete luck of the draw, like the hood, the SS Hood, which was a British ship sunk blown up by the Bismarck in World War II, and 1,800 sailors went into the ground in 6 popped up.
Maher's question isn't meant as a cheap jab. It's a real and honest question. After all the paperwork, the stacked permits, and the many layers of oversight in California, Has any of it actually lowered wildfires or made the state safer? After years of adding more rules, you would expect at least some clear progress you could measure. But the answer keeps coming back the same way. No, fires still tear through neighborhoods. Houses still burn down. Whole communities still have to evacuate over and over again. That's where his frustration really starts to show. If a system is created to solve a certain problem and keeps failing to give results, what is it really doing? Instead of protecting residents, the heavy system of regulations seems to slow down rebuilding, raise costs, and bury people under piles of paperwork. Maher isn't saying safety doesn't matter or that rules shouldn't exist. He's pointing out that the system isn't working well. His idea is simple. When the rule book keeps getting bigger, but the results don't get better, you have to ask whether the system itself has stopped being the answer and quietly become the problem.
And I realized she didn't know what was going on. Then you talked about your garage door. But the point is you got turned a little bit with your solar shaft. And I said it a million times. Live in rent control, fine. Go get your own home and try to pull a permit. You'll start thinking more like me. And you try to get your solar shack permit, and that took 2 years.
Now here's a quick mention about Jane Fonda and her appearance on Club Random. Moments like that show how protected many celebrities are from the daily struggle of dealing with government paperwork. They are rarely the ones stuck waiting for months or even years for permits, approvals, or inspections. Being famous often opens doors that stay closed for everyone else. When it comes to permit fees and following regulations, those costs barely affect them. If you're earning millions, high fees, or paying experts to handle paperwork just becomes another line in your expenses. But for regular people, it's a serious financial hit. That difference matters a lot. It shapes how well-known figures talk about laws and rules, often without truly feeling how stressful those systems can be for normal families trying to build, rebuild, or just move forward with their lives. The frustration isn't aimed at individuals. It's about how far removed those viewpoints can be from the reality most Americans are actually facing.
On the air. This is how arrogant the government is in California. This is how bad it is when one party controls any government of either party.
Right.
I was embarrassing them on the air for weeks, and still nothing happened.
Right.
Until the governor himself intervened and said, this is getting embarrassing.
Right.
And, of course, it was a bunch of bull. None of it ever needed to happen. It wasn't even the one that bothered me the most. The one that bothered me the most was my garage door.
Here's the part that really stands out. Bill Maher said it took him a full 2 years just to get a permit for his roof. 2 whole years for a roof. Think about that for a moment. Now, consider this. If Maher, who is famous, well-connected, financially secure, and even friendly with Governor Gavin Newsom, still had to wait that long, what chance does the average Californian have? Regular homeowners don't have the governor saved in their contacts. They don't have lawyers ready to jump in. They can't just ignore long delays while bills keep stacking up. Every extra month means higher building costs, more insurance problems, and living in a home that's not fully finished. Maher's story accidentally highlights something much bigger. This isn't just about inconvenience. It points to a system that isn't just slow, but deeply flawed. When even people with strong connections struggle to move things forward, it stops looking like a system made for safety or fairness and starts looking like a machine that exhausts everyone.
It doesn't fit 3 cars. I don't know what these cars are. It fits 3 motorcycles.
Right.
So, I don't live in a fucking mansion. I don't want to. I live alone, okay? I've got a wonderful house, happy to have it. No one would mistake it for, lifestyles of the rich and famous. Okay, so I wanted to change my 3-car garage, wink, wink, to what it should be, a 2-car garage. This took 3 inspections. Inspections?
Right.
I'm just changing my garage. Why do you have to be involved in my life when I'm changing my garage?
Because
if it falls down on my head, that's my fault for doing it with a bad contract.
Right.
Maher also had to push through all that paperwork just to replace a garage door. Seriously, think about that for a second. That's red tape in its clearest form. Rules piled on top of rules, far removed from simple common sense. No homeowner should need an official permit just to swap out a garage door. It's not a major structural change. It's not a threat to the environment. It's definitely not a public safety emergency. And yet, in California, even simple home maintenance can turn into months of forms, fees, and inspections. That's exactly why both Bill Maher and Adam Carolla keep repeating this point. Their position isn't extreme. It's practical. What real harm does changing a garage door cause to the home, the neighborhood, or the environment? None. Instead, the process slows people down, raises costs, and tests the patience of homeowners who simply want to maintain their property. When small repairs turn into long bureaucratic struggles, it's hard not to see it as a system that has lost its sense of balance.
And Trump says, well, we're going to go in and we're going to change the permitting laws. Now, he is obviously a guy who just pulls things out of his ass. I get the impetus to do this. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? He's the guy who sees a problem anywhere and he goes, I can fix that.
Right.
But is there any jurisdiction for the president to override local permitting laws?
I think I don't know about precedent because no one cared and it never existed. If you're building a log cabin in 1871, no court case
Right.
on that. I think he can because I've heard something about it.
Things became so over the top that Bill Maher even joked about wanting Donald Trump to step in and fix the situation. That's actually pretty striking. Maher and Trump are definitely not close friends. Yes, they once shared a dinner, but that didn't make them political allies or change Maher's views. He has said many times that he would still vote Democrat no matter who is running. But the joke works because it hints at something deeper. When someone who has been openly liberal for many years starts half-joking about a political opponent being better at cutting red tape, that's not support. It's frustration. It shows a system that feels blocked, oversized, and slow to respond. Maher isn't campaigning for Trump. He's expressing how fed up he feels. The message underneath is that the bureaucracy has become so confusing that people are willing to look anywhere for solutions. When simple competence becomes more important than party loyalty, you know the frustration has reached a breaking point.
Pull a permit, and I went in to the planning commission of the city of Glendale, and I said, I want to pull a permit, do some building on my warehouse. And the 25-year-old chick behind the counter goes, what are you going to do with that warehouse? That I bought, by the way. I said, I'm going to put some cars in there. And she goes, they might let you do that. And I thought, they might let me do that with my property.
It's infuriating.
It's insane, and it's huge, and it's a California thing, and unfortunately it's a blue thing, and it's kind of a left thing.
It is.
And
it is.
And they're encroaching on everything. Step back.
It's difficult not to wonder why a homeowner can't make small, harmless changes to a house they legally bought and already pay taxes on. At first glance, it feels backwards. We're not talking about dangerous expansions or risky building work. Just small improvements that shouldn't require moving through a complicated network of offices and paperwork. And yet, many times they do. That's why critics believe some of these rules should be removed completely. When regulations move away from protecting safety and start acting mostly as ways to collect fees, cause delays, and issue penalties, they stop looking like protection. They begin to look like a smooth-running money system. Every permit, every inspection, every approval costs money, and those costs quickly pile up. The result is a process that seems to punish responsible homeowners and discourage simple maintenance. If laws no longer follow common sense or truly help the public, but instead act like toll booths at every step, it's fair to question who really benefits. From this point of view, it doesn't seem to be the people who actually own the homes.
Stop making rules.
I tell this to Gavin every time I talk to him.
Just knock it the f*** off. Just leave people alone.
And he says we're doing it, but I don't see it, to be honest.
Well, also,
he says he's doing it when I confront him with it, but I don't see it.
No, because they're there to make rules. That's why they got into power. They like it.
They like it.
What I want.
That's it. They like it.
I want, my favorite answer from a politician is, I don't know. I'm not in charge.
Right.
Ask your dad. I don't run your house.
No, and
What
again,
you do.
not-
You want to go to the beach during COVID? Go to the beach during COVID. I'm not here to tell you not to do that.
Not to drag in more politics on it.
Maher and Carolla both arrive at the same tough conclusion. This overwhelming bureaucracy is a problem they clearly connect to Democratic leadership. You don't usually see Republican-led states slowing residents down with endless permits, inspections, and delays the way California does. The system feels so tangled and heavy that it drains the energy and patience of anyone simply trying to live their life or make small improvements to their own property. Maher also criticized Governor Gavin Newsom directly. He pointed out the wide gap between Newsom's promises and what actually happens. According to Maher, Newsom talks strongly about reducing red tape, but in reality, very little changes. Permits still take years. Costs continue to rise, and everyday Californians are left struggling with rules that seem designed to frustrate instead of help. The message at the end is clear and direct. Words alone don't fix problems, and the system remains broken. That brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.